Hey, what's going on, Pats Nation? Welcome to another edition of the Cans Pats Talks Patriot Podcast. Got my boy Stats here tonight. We're going to talk some Patriots with a special guest, Tom Curran for NBC Sports Boston, covering the Patriots. What's going on with you, Tom?
Hey, how's it going, boys? Good to have you, or get to see you again, I should say.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. We can go ahead and start off, man. We ain't going to hold you too long. What do you make of the crazy offseason for the Patriots so far?
I mean, you want to go all the way back to January where it really started in the offseason?
Yeah.
Let's do that. And I think that what's interesting about the Patriots offseason is once they committed to the notion that we're moving on from Bill, then moving on from Bill became their number one priority. And I think if you hit them with the truth serum, they didn't expect a 4-13 season. You didn't expect a 4-13 season. None of us did. While they were not satisfied with the direction of the team and the way things had gone in 21 and 22, they expected Bill to continue, and that's why they gave him a contract that took him through next season. They expected Bill to have that kind of floor that he would attain. And then when the team came out so unprepared and the dysfunction with the quarterback continued and the offensive line, which hadn't been personnel-wise fixed, it didn't take, and the team spiraled out of control. I think the Patriots said, okay, well, now we have the greatest coach in NFL history, and we can't use him anymore. We just got to figure out a way to get out of this situation here because he can't come back and do the rebuild. But we have to have Mayo because we've already agreed, and we're not just going to piss away $10 million. So, all right, we'll just move on, and that's how we're going to do it. So that's why I don't think it's a half-assed rebuild, but I think their hands were tied a little bit. Their number one priority, guys, was let's move on from Bill. Let's get a new quarterback in here, and let's see where the cards fall. So I don't think this was a well-structured reboot. You get what I'm saying?
Got you. Go ahead, Stat.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but, I think Mayo does bring a lot of tendencies that, especially, playing for us and coaching, on our defense for the past couple of years. I do agree. I don't think it went as smoothly as people thought. There was kind of a lot of back and forth. People thought we were going to keep him, but then after that disastrous Jets game at the end of the year, people were like, oh, yeah, he's probably gone. So it was kind of a dysfunctional offseason for sure. And yeah, I was certainly, not expecting that to happen. I thought we were going to, ride him out for at least another year, but here we are now, new era with Gerard, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, they could still certainly land on their feet. Despite the fact that this is not what anyone envisioned or hoped for in terms of having to fire the greatest coach of all time. It's not what anyone hoped for. And I think Bill has done a good job so far of stiff upper lipping it and making sure that he's maintaining a relationship with the organization, which I think is great for the Crafts. And the Crafts have bent over backwards. I think Robert's a little bit – you can't keep sending these platitudes Bill's way when you just fired him, whether it be the Brady thing or any other time. But be that as it may, they can land on their feet. But it comes down to, guys, the most critical people in this organization, Kendall, right now are Alex Van Pelt. I mean, do you understand how much rides on that guy's ass?
Right.
He has to make sure that the offensive line is coordinated. And that's one thing about – I'm going to babble here for a while. I don't give a shit.
You go ahead.
Offensive coordinator, people, I think, shrink it down to thinking that it's a game plan and a play caller, and it's not. Offensive coordinator coordinates everything. He's the warehouse manager for the whole operation. Wide receivers coach, offensive line coach, running backs coach, tight ends coach. Here's the shit you're going to coach this week. Coach it up, get it installed. We're all going to get together, and then we're going to run a game plan. So Alex Van Pelt has to do all those things, and he has to develop Drake May while trying to win games, and nobody knows each other, and they haven't really run this offense. So to me, you look at all, whether it's DeMarcus Covington or Christian Gonzalez or Gerard Mayo or Elliott Wolf, Alex Van Pelt might be the most important guy in the organization right now.
I'm glad you did just mention Drake May. Let's go ahead and move on to it. What do you think
Sure.
Drake May has to do? Your camp starts, I think they report Friday or Saturday, at least the 19th, I believe they report.
Rookies report, yeah. So Drake May will be in house on the 19th, and
And
as you
veterans
guys
report
know,
the 23rd. Yeah.
yep. And as you guys know, it's really a big ramp up. I'm sure May is there now. That's one thing that if I'm a Patriots fan, I'm really happy about is the fact that the kid is a football bookworm, addict, nerd, gym rat, and he's going to take it extremely seriously.
Um,
Accuracy and decision making, you can have reservations about how good that's going to be. Sometimes I don't think guys get necessarily more accurate, but
mhm.
if you look at the commitment he's going to make and the physical attributes that he has in terms of toughness, I think that's great. So to me, they're going to start that ramp up period. But he's here now, Kendall. I'm babbling.
Yeah.
TV show, so I'm still in babble mode. Sorry.
Right, you good. What do you think he has to do to in the next couple of weeks? Because we're gonna see all the tweets and training camp. Y'all gonna put the
Yep.
stats up, all the reporters or whatnot. What do you think he has to do to beat Jacoby Brissett out? Because a lot of people say, well, Jacoby Brissett maybe should have the upper hand because he's a veteran, he knows the system, he's with Van Pelt in Cleveland. But then people that say, hey, May's your third-hour pick, he should be starting week 1. What do you think he has to do in the next couple of weeks to beat out Brissett and start week 1 in Cincinnati?
I think he has to win by knockout. So
Mhm.
first thing, Matt and Kendall, he has to show aptitude. Forget about the arm stuff. He has to be able to get to the line of scrimmage, establish what the defense is doing, who's coming, who's not, get him out of a bad play. That's one of the things that they talk about a lot in the NFL and coordinators is it's not so much audibling into good plays. It's saying, okay, we're screwed here. This play is not going to work. Let's get out of this with an alert or whatever and move on to something else. That's what Brady was so apt and had such great aptitude for. So if he can start to do that, and then his speed can be quick in and out of the huddle, and there's not a lot of dicking around, and you're not having penalties or delays, or they're not going to have to restart, then that's great too. So can he establish those things, and then can he establish that he knows where the football is supposed to go? He might have some Favrean tendencies here, and Brady had them too, where he gets really ramped up at the beginning and is a little sketchy. So you're going to expect to see that, I think, even in the preseason. He might have some sketchy starts to preseason things, but those are the things he has to establish. And Kendall, I think all ties go to Jacoby Brissett. You have to allow Drake May to sit and wait and watch.
100%. So, talking about, Drake May, a very important part of his success is, how the receivers play. So my main question for you is, who do you think makes the cut towards the end of the core? Because I think the top of our core, there's not as many, question marks. Douglas will be on the team, obviously. When Bourne's healthy, he'll obviously be on the team. And then the 2 rookies will obviously, they'll get snaps too. But then when you get to the KJ Osborne, the Juju, the Jalen Reagor, who do you think makes the cut there? Especially with Bourne probably starting on PUP. Who do you think makes the cut at the end of the receiving core?
Yeah, it's a great conversation because you have a lot of guys who are C+ to B. You don't have an A. I don't necessarily have a D, but everybody's about a 78. So I think Demario Douglas is the one player on their entire offense who's a unique skill set that very few players in the league have. So I would build my offense around him. Then I would do everything in my power to make sure that Jalen Polk knows what it's like to be a number one. Even if he doesn't have those number one attributes, he has to be the hub of the offense behind Demario Douglas in terms of wideouts. Then I would look at KJ Osborne being the next guy. Juju, to me, I see our guy, CMF Sonny, says Juju number one. I mean, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt that he is much improved in terms of health, but I'm also a little dubious as to what he can bring. So I would go, you got Jalen Polk, you have KJ Osborne, you have Demario Douglas at the start, then you have Kendrick Bourne, obviously, when he gets healthy enough, then Juju, and then you get down, Matt, to the Keyshawn Booties and Tyquan Thorntons, who are going to be overtaken by Javon Baker, for instance.
Yep.
So it's like 8 guys, but, as I said, everybody's about a 78.
Hey,
Yeah.
Baker did get hurt in the camp. Do you have any word on that injury? I mean, I think we saw him a couple of practice. He was standing out, and then we didn't see him again.
He took the reps, but he didn't catch the ball. That was the
Okay.
interesting thing, Kendall. He actually took the drill reps. So when at the beginning of practice, they're going to go through bags and catch the ball. He just kind of jogged through. So it's not dire. I would imagine he should be fine to go for the beginning of camp, being a month later.
What are the expectations for the Patriots? Well, I mean, what does a successful season for the Patriots look like this year? My personal fan expectations is you win like 6 or 7 games, be competitive, and make sure you got your quarterback for the future.
Yeah,
What
what's
do you
it
think?
look like? That
Yeah,
to me,
uh-huh.
what's it look like? You can go 4-13 and have games in which you say, all right, that's what we're looking for in terms of improvement. And I don't think they're going to go 4-13. And it's hard to make it a successful season. But if you look back, guys, at the Patriots in 1993, Drew Bledsoe's first year, the Patriots went 1-11 to begin that season. They were horrendous. Their only win was against a shitty Arizona team. They were trying to get Bledsoe enmeshed in their offense. Bledsoe beat out a guy named Scott Secules, and he beat out Zolak to become the starter because he had just such an unbelievable arm and a presence, and he was very mature. So he became the starter, but they sucked. So that was a very difficult evolution in that period, but you also had Bill Parcells as the head coach. By the end of that season, they won their final 4 games. They did so winning those games with Bledsoe throwing for, bundles of yards, making key plays, threading it into spots. So when I'm looking at that, if the Patriots have a crap season record-wise, if at the end you can have a good-looking December, a good-looking November, that's good. Because what we've seen really since 2019 is absolute face plants by the Patriots down the stretch. Last year wasn't an aberration. 2022 wasn't an aberration. 2021 wasn't an aberration. They made the playoffs and lost to the Bills in an embarrassing fashion. So can this team trend upward at the end of the year?
Yeah. You bring up a really good point there, especially with the position we're in now. So another question I would like to ask is, last season, Sullivan Belichick, you're always going to be like at least considered, in contention. Even with the roster last year, that we weren't really strong in any sense. On defense, we're always going to be solid, but offensively, Juju was our signing. I didn't love letting Myers walk, but
Right.
the Zeke pickup, I think it was around mid-August last year, early August. Do you think the Patriots make any last-minute moves like that before the season starts?
I think if you're a Patriots fan, you are dying to see them do something at left tackle to give you somebody who's an established starter in the league at that position who has done it before, because you're trying to move Okorafor and Caden Wallace and get them enmeshed over at a position that they haven't played. The third rounder from Penn State is who I'm referring to.
Yeah.
So can you get those guys to play that position, or do you find David Bakhtiari or any of the other free agent left tackles who are still out there and bring them in? So I would prioritize that. I would also prioritize Stephon Gilmore. He's long. He's smart. He was athletically more than fine last year for Dallas. He's not the defensive player of the year anymore 6 years down the road. But if you talk about a bookend, long, tall corner opposite Christian Gonzalez, holy crap. Because I like Jonathan Jones and I like Marcus Jones, but they're not big enough. Stephon Gilmore is big enough. If you can get those two dudes locked up on two sides of that defense, holy crap.
So I made a post a while ago about Gilmore. I just think he's the perfect fit because, we got a lot of young guys,
Right.
Gonzalez, Austin, Marcus Jones. Obviously, Jonathan Jones is a veteran, but like you said, he is on the smaller end, and he is unfortunately on the back nine of his career. And so is Gilmore, but Gilmore would still be, Gilmore and Gonzalez. If Gonzalez hits what we think he can hit, that's a top 5 cornerback duo right there because, you saw what Gilmore did alongside Trayvon Diggs and Bland last year. He was great. So I think he's the perfect fit for the situation we have at cornerback, for sure.
Tom, my last question is going to be before we get you. I know you're really busy.
We can do a couple more minutes. We can go a couple more minutes. You got a lot of people throwing questions in.
Yeah, let's address the elephant in the room. What do you think is going to happen with the Matthew Judon and Devon Gottstar contract?
I don't think it's going to be a problem, Kendall. I'm sure that they're going to resolve it. The interesting thing about Judon is they gave him a huge bump last year by just moving money out of 2024 and said, "Here, we'll give you this money now." And he was only able to play 4 games, but still, he was productive when he was out there. He was a Pro Bowler the year before. He's a very good leader. I still think at the age of 32, he's going to be a productive player. So the best thing the Patriots can do right now is, and it is early, nobody likes to go to friggin' camp when you're 32. So he doesn't give a shit if it takes a while. Probably a per game roster bonus. Give him something that brings him in line this year. So say, for instance, though he probably wants a 3-year 40, and I don't know. This is spitballing. He would be reasonably asking for 3 and 45 with 22 guaranteed. That would be an okay ask, I think. The Patriots are going to look at that and say, well, Matthew, you're 32, and we're not sure we want to do that. Why don't we give you 2 and 28, and we'll give you whatever, 12 guaranteed, so you're getting that all this year, or 14 guaranteed, and then we'll go per game roster bonuses. I don't think it's going to be complicated. Believe me, I'm not a friggin' agent. If anybody's sitting out there and says, I won't work on the cap, you're probably right. As for Godshaw, I mean, I guess he's one of these fine print players who you have to really squint, and everyone's like, oh, he's a much better player than you think. Bill raved about him, said he was one of the best defensive linemen in the league. And there were occasions last year where he was fairly dominant, but over the course of the time that he's been here, I don't think Devon Godshaw makes me go, oh my God, the Patriots are screwed if they don't have him. They got Keon White. They have Barmore. They have Anthony Jennings, who's an edge player, really.
Still got Josh Uche.
Yeah, I love Uche as an individual, and I loved his production in 2022, but it was over 2 games. Mm-hmm. And I don't, you can't put too many chips on him. But Anthony Jennings is legit that we don't talk about.
Love Anthony Jennings.
Yeah, he's very underrated. He's a good, better run stuffer and setting the edge in a pass rusher. But I mean, I do think,
great?
Yeah,
wasn't he great? I mean, you know who else was stupid good? Was Tavai.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, and
finally getting the respect he deserves, though.
Pepper was a Pro Bowl level player. That's why we were just talking on TV about the defense. And I thought last year I wrote something. I was like, this defense might be a little overrated. This was last summer because they really just compiled a lot of stats against shitty teams. They did it to Detroit and Cleveland and, backups from Arizona and really bad teams in 2022 that they feasted on for a period of time. So I was like, I don't know if they're that good. And then this last year, 2023, they still saw the Tommy DeVitos of the world, but they absolutely cut their heads off. They had no chance to move the ball against them. So they were legit. And there were guys like Tavai and Jennings who you just didn't, and Keon White, who played really well. So I think they're legitimately good.
We got a question here from Sports Academy. How long does Brissett stay the starter before they hand the ball over to May if Jacoby struggles?
That's an interesting question, too, because if you're a Patriots fan, you're hoping for all things to go great. But to get May on the field, something has to happen that's not great. Either Brissett has to suck, he has to get hurt, or the Patriots have to be so embarrassingly bad that it's just run out the clock time. So I think ideally the Patriots, if they can get him on the field before Halloween, that would be great. You get him more than half the season to get that kind of apprenticeship. That means that he has performed well in camp. That means he's performing well in practice, and that means the team is struggling a bit. So they go to Brissett. But I'm afraid that because of this defense, they might be, 3-5, 3-6, and it's going to be hard for Mayo to say, let's go to May, because he'll still be sniffing around. What do you guys think on that? I mean, I don't have an answer. That's straight on opinion. What do you think?
Go ahead, Steph.
Sorry, I'm just sorry. I'm itching to say something, but like I said,
go ahead, say whatever. Your pod.
Even in games last year, even I'll throw out the Chargers game, which is a great example of what we're talking about. We didn't score. We didn't score a single point the whole game, but we held. Who Justin Herbert was still healthy. We held him to 6 points that game, and we couldn't. And we had chances in the fourth to take the lead still, even though our offense looked abysmal that game, and we still had opportunities to capitalize just because of how good our defense was playing, and we didn't. And just back to the defense, keeping us in games and making it hard to take Brissett out. I unfortunately think they're going to do that because those guys, we have a bunch of dogs that are going to put their heads on the line every single game, no matter what their record is, like Jelani Tabai, like Jawan Bentley, like Anthony Jennings. And back to the Judon thing really quick. I think whether Judon's production does go down a little bit, other guys thrive off of him playing because Judon takes a lot of attention away. Last year, we didn't have a one. So it was hard for them to really, hard for one of them to really, spark, which I would love to happen, but it unfortunately didn't. And I think Keon White could be the next guy. I don't think Uche could ever turn into a one because, 2022, he really thrived off a good season by Judon. But back to the defense thing, they're going to put their
Let me grab this. I think this is a great point. Are you in a sauna, by the way?
No, I'm in a log cabin. I'm on vacation. It looks like it.
I think it's a great point because you have a team that already defensively, its best players had to withstand last year. And I do know that guys like Jabril Peppers would go in and say after the game, what do we need to do? This is driving me batshit. We can't win a game. They can't score. What do we have to do? Shut everybody out? So if they're involved in the same thing, and I don't think they will, I think they're going to look better this year. I just do. I think the offense will be better coached. Because it was a lot of dysfunction. Not to say
it was so bad. It was so bad last year. They can't go but up. I feel.
But if they look so bad, Kendall, then the players are going to start saying, "Look, I can't watch it with Jacoby either. We're losing 9-3. All we're giving up is field goals after. Just get the other kid in here so we don't have to put it up with another year of it." So I think it's a good point when you think about it. Was it Stats or Matt? Both, right?
Yeah, I call them Stats, but yeah.
So I think that's a good point. When you think about it, they've already done that movie where they bit their lip but didn't say anything last year, and they want to see improvement.
Rick, my last question, Tom. Bailey Zappi, what do you think is going to happen with him? Do you think he's going to probably get cut? They're going to let him play a couple of preseason games, see if they can increase the trade value. What do you think happened with Zappi?
Great question. There's nothing they can do to increase his trade value. He is what he is. He's got to go because he's in the way of Joe Milton. There is nothing that Bailey Zappi does that is unique offensively. He doesn't have a unique skill. He's got a pedestrian array of skills that are okay enough to keep him in the league. But Joe Milton's arm is so friggin' good that he deserves the chance to show that he can start to master the offense and become a little bit more accurate. Drake May is Drake May, and Jacoby Brissett is Jacoby Brissett. So it's been nice to have Bailey Zappi around, and he's spunky, and he's got a lot of, fire. But you'll come to these practices, Matt, you might be here, Kendall, you'll watch the videos. He just doesn't have an NFL arm.
Nope.
So, and he doesn't have NFL stature. So he's got to go. Now, the one question is, are you going to put Drake May on the field if Jacoby Brissett has a high ankle sprain at the end of August and it looks like he can't play, or he's one bad snap away from going out? Or are you going to say, you got to come back, Bailey, we need you? Or are you going to say, you know what, we've seen that movie. Let's bring Brian Hoyer in from NBC Sports Boston, get him off Curran's pod and bring him back. So there has to be some kind of an option.
Well, my biggest thing with Zappi is, God forbid this ever happens. Let's just say, like you said, Brissett's got a high ankle sprain and, May either isn't ready yet or he gets hurt as well. Wouldn't you just rather bring in the guy with just the much higher upside and, can make plays? Because Zappi, we know what he is. He's going to throw for 180 yards a game.
So who would your option be, Matt? Milton?
Yeah, for sure. I would
say you don't want to put him in a position. You don't want to put Milton in a position to be embarrassed.
Oh, yeah. But
so that would be the one thing I'd say is you can't. I would 100%. I think it's going to be too early for him to get the team in and out of the huddle and do all the machinations and read defenses and not be embarrassed. Not that I'm saying he's going to be an embarrassingly bad quarterback, but to throw him in there after not getting the training camp reps that he'll want, you have to go. Basically, the upshot is, if not Bailey Zappi, if Jacoby Brissett's not ready to go at the beginning and Drake May, you don't want to put him out there and feed him to the Wolves in week 1. Against who they playing week 1?
Cincinnati. The
Yeah,
Bengals.
at Cincinnati. Then you got to go get a Brian Hoyer.
Yeah.
Type.
All right, Tom. Before I get you out, hey man, I'm going to the game. I believe it's October 27th. Jets at Patriots. I'm gonna be in the Boston area. What are some good eating areas out there? What's good out there to do? Then I'll be down
Where
there
are
for
you
a
going to be
weekend.
posted up?
You said where?
Yeah.
Uh,
Downtown?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Let's see. See, I'm an outside the city guy. Grew up in Pembroke, which is south of the city. Live in Raynham now. We've been in Lakeville for 20 years. Why don't you come down? We'll get some barbecue someplace. We'll find a barbecue joint.
We'll
If
do.
you
I
like
got
Italian food, go to the North End.
That's very simple. Yeah. Italian food, go to the North End. But otherwise, I'll have to ask people who are close. Go to the Seaport. Dick around there for a while.
you. Okay.
I don't know. I've never been to Nantucket in my life either. I just stay around my house.
Sports Academy said North End. Okay. Hey Tom, appreciate. Hey, you got a lot of fans in here, man. We couldn't even get through all the comments. You got a lot of fans, Tom, man.
Next time in, we'll do a Q&A.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Q&A. You just set it up. We'll do Q&A. We'll just throw the questions up, and we'll have a conversation about whatever the questions are.
Sounds good. Hey, sounds good.
You know what the
appreciate
funny thing
everybody
about
that
stuff
joined,
like
man.
this is? I'm always like this. Oh, I have to do this thing. I don't want to do it. I have to. All right, I'll do it. And then I do it, and I'm having fun.
It's all good, Tom.
All right, boys.
Appreciate it, man. Hey, appreciate everybody joining tonight. Make sure you like the content, share on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. I appreciate it, man.
Hey,
Good
make
job,
sure
sir.
to circle up, Matt. It's good to see you. I'll see you in a couple weeks, and make sure to circle up when you do come up, Kendall.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, buddy.